Arithmetic review. This arithmetic review contains integers, fractions, exponents, the square root, decimals, and ratios. Integers. The integers are numbers like 1, 2, 3, and so on, together with their negatives, -1, -2, -3, etc., and 0. The positive integers are greater than 0. The negative integers are less than 0. The product of two positive integers is a positive integer. The product of two negative integers is a positive integer. The product of a positive integer and a negative integer is a negative integer. The product of two even integers is an even integer. The product of two odd integers is an odd integer. The product of an even integer and an odd integer is an even integer. A prime number is an integer greater than 1 that has only two positive divisors, 1 and itself. The first 10 prime numbers are 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, and 29. The integer 1 is not a prime number, and the integer 2 is the only prime number that is even. Fractions. A fraction is a number of the form a over b, where a and b are integers and b not equal to 0. The integer a is called the numerator of the fraction and b is called the denominator. To add two fractions with the same denominator, you add the numerators and keep the same denominator. To add two fractions with different denominators, first find a common denominator, which is a common multiple of the two denominators. Then, convert both fractions to equivalent fractions with the same denominator. Finally, add the numerators and keep the common denominator. To multiply two fractions, multiply the two numerators and then multiply the two denominators. To divide one fraction by another, first invert the second fraction, then multiply the first fraction by the inverted fraction. In case there is a mixed number, you can convert the units into the fraction specified in the denominator. In this case, the unit 4 times 8 is 32. Added to the fraction 3/8 equals 35/8. When there is a fraction over another fraction and we need to simplify it, we multiply the extremes and we place it as a numerator. In this case, the square root of 5 times 1 equals the square root of 5, and then we multiply the middles to obtain the denominator. In this case, it is 3 times the square root of 2. Exponents and roots. Exponents are used to denote the repeated multiplication of a number by itself. For example, 3 to the 4th power is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 equals 81. In this expression, 3 is called the base, 4 is called the exponent, and we read the expression as 3 to the 4th power. Similarly, 5 to the 3rd power is 125. When the exponent is 2, we call the process squaring. Thus, 6 squared is 36. Exponents can also be negative or zero. Such exponents are defined as follows. For all non-zero numbers a to the 0 power is 1. Negative exponents. For all non-zero numbers, a to a negative exponent are solved as indicated. All positive numbers have two square roots, one positive and one negative. Square roots of negative numbers are not defined in the real number system. When there is a square root and such an equation is squared, the result is the base itself. Take a look at the following examples. With regard to multiplications of the squared numbers, it is possible to place both bases into the same root. Similarly, the division of square bases can also be simplified as indicated. Decimals. The decimal number system is based on representing numbers using powers of 10. For example, here we can see 7 thousandths, 9 hundredths, 2 tenths, 3 units, and then 4 tenths, 6 hundredths, and 8 thousandths. This number can be represented like this. Ratio. The ratio of one quantity to another is a way to express the relative sizes, often in the form of a fraction. For example, if there are 2 apples and 3 oranges, we can say that the ratio of the number of apples to the number of oranges is 2 to 3. In case there were 8 apples and 12 oranges, then the ratio of the number of apples to the number of oranges is still 2 to 3. A proportion is an equation to solve a problem involving ratios. You can often write a proportion and solve it by cross multiplication. For example, to find a number x so that the ratio of x to 49 is the same as the ratio of 3 to 21, you can solve it like this. Regarding the ratio and the proportion, every now and then we may find a problem like this. All sales of a certain product were made either online or in the store. If 55% of the sales were made online, what was the ratio of the number of purchases made online to the number of purchases made in the store? Because 55% of the sales were made online, it follows that 45% of the sales were made in the store. We can then simplify the equation and find that the ratio is 11 to 9.